this. I do think that more information is very crucial. I applaud your and the desire to gather more facts about some of the concerns that we have in terms of lighting, in terms of traffic, in terms of parking. I think that would be, since I work in information and public relations, I do know that knowledge is power. So I think this is crucial for all of us to make an informed decision. It will also be our desire, as was stated earlier tonight, we would also like to be good neighbors if this project also happens. My wife and I walk very often at Julius West around the fields as they are, and I have to tell you that I'm amazed at the condition of the fields. We don't have children, but I would be very concerned about the condition of the fields. All that you're hearing is correct about the facilities. However, I'm afraid that this is the right project at the wrong place. We think that the impact on our community from a traffic and from a parking standpoint is too much. We agree wholeheartedly with what it takes to take care of our kids, take care of the kids in the community. We just think that we need to have a better decision about where this type of thing needs to go. On weekends and once or twice during the year, MSI will have a tournament or they'll sponsor teams that come in. We do have a parking problem on those Saturdays. The members of our community who live in those front sections have people in their front in the streets in front of their houses. And it's nothing against MSI, but we've heard tonight that the open space, the open scheduling of these fields that MSI doesn't use, that MCPS doesn't use, will be available for rent. So even if MSI says that they won't be using any more of the scheduled time on these fields, which you all will have to determine, and we have to work with MSI. I love getting toys at Christmas, and the first thing that I do with a new toy at Christmas is I take it out and play with it, and I play with it a lot. It is reasonable to assume that MSI would increase their schedules. But even if that's not the case, the extra open space on these fields will be used by lacrosse. We heard that earlier this evening. Will be used by adult soccer leagues that could come in. So, there's a softball field as part of the plan that you all have before you. I'm out of time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. So my mixed, I was not going to speak tonight, but hearing both sides of this issue and my personal investment, A, in my community, B, in understanding the value of youth sports, wanting to compliment the staff at Julius West for everything that they do for our kids, I still think that this is a fabulous project in the wrong place. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that closes our public. Mr. Giamo, please.
I've been asked, I'm an officer of the West End Citizens Association. I was asked to also speak on behalf of the association, so I don't know if you could grant me 5 minutes. I would appreciate it. Thank you. I'm Larry Giamo. I live at Monument Street, so just off the map here and pretty close to Julius West. I certainly have personal reason to be an advocate for this project. I have 2 children that have been playing MSI soccer, for the oldest now for 7 or 8 years. Can certainly appreciate the issue with bad fields. Sidebar, a lot of those are actually managed by MCPS. But I have another reason as well. My son is 7th grader at JW. He just made the soccer team. So if these fields were built before the next academic year and he makes the team next year, he's playing on those great fields. But I can't be an unqualified advocate for this project because I have some significant concerns and just empathy for folks that you've already heard from. I think the folks on Blaze Clymer Way is a really good example of why we should be concerned about this project and why I get a little queasy in my stomach thinking about what the impacts would be for them. So keep in mind, again, my kids have been playing soccer now for 7, 8 years. Some of it's been on lighted fields, so know all about what a lighted field, what the experience is like at night. As you can appreciate, the lights are very bright. You can imagine what it's going to be like for the folks on the back decks of their townhouses there on Blaze Clamor Way. I mean, the two fields together, we're talking, what, 500-600 feet long or wide as they're going to be looking at it. Another 40-50 feet high, brightly lit. Pretty much taking up a good chunk of their field of view. What hasn't been talked about a lot and is also a concern is noise. As we know, noise at night travels farther. And as you may not appreciate unless you've been involved with youth soccer, the parents, the spectators can get rather loud and raucous, cheering their kids on, whatever it might be. Coaches sometimes are even the loudest. But if you imagine 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 people doing that at 9 o'clock at night, that's a real inconvenience for folks. I mean, they're going to be hearing it inside their houses on Blaze Clamor Way. And to be clear here, and you've heard it from other folks, you know, it's MCPS and it's MSI, but these fields are going to be utilized 100%, and not just by MSI. I mean, I've seen at night, you know, there's adult leagues. They will gladly play until midnight if allowed. They're out there. They're looking for space to play. So the adult soccer leagues, the other sports, these fields may be in use 365 days a year from whatever in the morning until however late at night that they're allowed to go. And those folks on Blaze Clamor Way looking out their back windows are going to be looking at the lights and hearing the noise from all of that. And it's the night really where it's the issue here. If this was just turf fields and no lights, it might be a very different issue. But with the lights, it allows obviously folks to go a lot later. You got the impact of the lights and you got the impact of noise at night. Parking, I don't know, can't really say for sure. It's a little frustrating that we, even at this late stage, we have no idea from MCPS who's actually using this building. You know, I've driven by Julius West on the weekends when there's no games going on and the lot's been full. I don't know what's going on in there, but clearly there's a parking challenge even when there aren't games going on. Who knows what it's going to be like when there's fields being fully utilized on a weekend, plus the multiple uses going on inside the building. Let me pivot, though, to process, and I think this is where I really want to drill down hard. This project was announced in July of 2016. 2016, almost 2 years ago. There was a big press release, result of a legal settlement between MSI and MCPS. These things were going to go in here. And here we are 21 months later, and we don't even have basic information about the parking demands, about the noise, about, you know, we got a light study, but is it really meaningful? These folks didn't even make an effort to come out and talk to us until about a month ago. 20 months after this project was announced. So this process has not been one where the community has been properly engaged as we would have expected here in the city of Rockville. So what I'm going to respectfully suggest to you is, I don't know, actually the question, how can you possibly make an informed decision tonight as to whether or not this project meets the standards per the city's zoning ordinance for a mandatory referral? I would say you can't. And I would say you can only make an informed decision after you get all of this data, after you see the results of these analyses. And the way this would happen is, we've heard from the folks at MCPS and MSI that they want to be good faith partners with the community. Ask them to agree to extend the mandatory referral period, which ends in just a few days from now. So a decision has to be made unless they agree to extend it. And if they're going to walk the talk of being good neighbors and being good community partners, they will agree to that. And that will allow you to make the informed decision that you're obligated to make based on all possible available information and analysis as to whether this proposed project with its lights and with those impacts truly conforms with the standard that's specified in the zoning ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess nobody else wants to speak, right?
Hi, I'm Adeline Gully. I live at 1113 Vets Trail Way, right off of Wooten Parkway. And I've played soccer for over 10 years now, starting in kindergarten with MSI. And the first thing I'd like to say is the fields are really, really bad. I've known many close to my friends who have had broken ankles and have been seriously or non-seriously injured. Either way, it wasn't very good. Another thing I'd like to say is the lights don't glare up. It's not like a stadium.